Interesting. That's all I can say. It's interesting.
Wait, you was up unwillingly?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I couldn't get to sleep. Part of it also is that being in South Asian household, they had I don't know, my mother-in-law, or even though it was only like four people eating, ordered a tray of food enough for like 12, 15. So it's ended up having like that. What the hell is that rice called? Biryani, and it was spicy, and it was a combination of the Breinfuel and the biryani that probably had me up.
There may be something to that mix. We might have to tell the doctor about that when he comes on later.
No, because they do different things. They keep you up for different reasons. One biryani tears up your guts. If it kind of without going to get too graphic, it kind of feels like you get a Bengay feeling when it comes out, like that. So
I feel for you, man. That didn't sound too pleasant.
like I don't have a super high tolerance to spicy food, but I can eat some, so I can manage it going down, but coming out is what tends to be the problem. And then I had the Breinfuel to keep me awake at the same time, so the brain was racing, couldn't get to sleep. So anywho,
we'll welcome everybody back here for another episode of In the Building, our 30th episode, as it turns out, our 30th official episode. We've done more than 30 actually, but today we're doing we're back after a couple weeks. I'm back after like almost a month off or something. I'm be kind of rusty probably for most of this episode. I haven't gone this long without doing a podcast in a while, like in about a year, I would say. But I'm just coming back on to bring you another episode of the show that was actually going to be the last episode for another month. But I'll explain that towards the end of the show. But our guest today, we have a special guest today. Let me make sure I get the name right. But Dr. Gerald Horn. There we go. Gerald Horn, who has made show him the drink, Dave. He's made a new energy beverage called Breinfuel. Dave got his. I should have had mine, but I got it sent to my grandparents' house, and I haven't gone over there to pick up the package yet. So I don't have mine yet. But
hopefully, no one's over there drinking it.
Out there,
they'll be doing the beatbox dance.
Yeah, I'd love to imagine my grandma or papa drinking it, but my papa, I don't even know what it had to be labeled for him to drink it. Like he's not going to drink anything strange that if it's got my name on it, he's going to just leave it alone for one. But if he doesn't know what it is, he ain't messing with it. He's picky with what he puts in his body. But anyway, we got, like I say, Dr. Gerald Horn. He's a Chicago-based doctor, and he's actually an eye doctor apparently, but he's gotten into this the beverage game, and I will explain when he comes on why I thought he would be suitable to come on this show. But it kind of goes back into me and Dave's history, which is sort of an inside joke that we're going to let you in on. But it's kind of funny. Well, Dave is blacked out. Hopefully.
Sorry about that. Here I am.
Okay. But it's sort of an inside joke because almost as long as I've known Dave, he's had this unique reliance on energy drinks, in particular Red Bull. So when I heard about this particular drink and this thing got pitched to me, I get stuff pitched to me a lot on emails and stuff, and I didn't have any previous knowledge before I got the email. I was like, well, let me see if I can, let me see what research we could do on this drink and if it'll be fitting for for Dave, who typically needs a boost of energy, and really he needed boost of energy just to go out at night when we were single guys on the prowl. He didn't have much
See,
responsibilities, but now he has two kids with a third on the way. So his situation is even more, I think. He has even more need for that type of boost of energy.
I control, yeah, but the difference is now is I control my schedule. Before then, I ain't control my schedule. I belong to the railroad back in the day. So, I mean, there was a little bit of a difference.
That was back when Dave was a Pullman porter.
Hey, look, you call it whatever you want to call it. I still remember that number. I still remember the call board's number. And when they called me, I had to go in. Matter of fact, the last time you and I went out for your birthday, I had to lay off sick. And I was paranoid because I think I was driving right by there to go to White Palace when we went to White Palace.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's different when you kind of have kids. I mean, you still try to wake up early and whatnot, but it's not like you have to be awake and alert for like a night job or something like that. It's a different animal. So
okay.
so sometimes those days, those Red Bulls, they were essential. I mean,
yeah, I know, man. You was in need of. I had to indulge too every now and then. The way that we got down, but hey, having more control of your schedule, I guess that does make a big difference. Given the added responsibility, I mean, you almost have to do that. Given the added responsibilities, have to be more regimented.
Yeah. No. Oh yeah. I don't think it would work out too well. Nowadays. My wife likes to refer to 2019 as the year she was a single mom because that's how much I was at work.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. How is Nora doing right now? How close is she?
Friday.
Wow.
Yes, Friday.
So we're doing this just in time.
Yeah. We're headed to the hospital at 6 a.m. on Friday morning, and she'll be in there through Monday.
It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. Congratulations, of course. I wish you that in private, but if you guys see, all you guys see this video, man, show Dave some love out there on social. I'm sure, even before the baby comes, but definitely when the baby comes, I'm sure he'll give us, some, an update and everything. But show him some love. Show him some love on the comments here. If you like, yeah.
Send me a pack of Newports. I'm gonna need them.
Yes, give him something. Give him a care package.
Yes, yeah. You already know my aunt sends me those. She's sending me a pack with the next one just as a joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever gets you through, man. Whatever gets you through.
Oh yeah, no. I haven't got. If the past year have made me want to smoke cigarettes, I'm not gonna start.
Yeah, man. It's been wild, and it's only gotten more stress and strain for a lot of folks. And this week particular, I guess we have to talk about this. Before the doctor comes on, we got the verdict with the Derek Chauvin case in the murder of George Floyd. And satisfactory. It was a satisfactory result. With him being judged guilty on all three counts. What is it? Second degree murder, right? Third degree, and second degree manslaughter, I believe. But yes, there's been a lot of back and forth about justice versus accountability, and I might get into that in a little bit, but just on the surface, this is a monumental occurrence. We could say with it's been rare that a policeman, a law enforcement officer, has had to face the just faced up to the wrong that they done in regards to the brutalization of another person, especially a black person. And this man is we'll see what time he gets, but it should be a significant amount of time. He's this mark is going to be on him for the rest of his life, regardless of how much time he does spend. He won't be. We've seen so many times where officers are killed and maimed, and they just went right back to. They had some period where they were on a desk or they were suspended, but they went back. They ended up back in their job. But Derek Chauvin won't be a police officer anymore, and that's, I think, the most important thing here. He won't be on the streets to terrorize anyone in any capacity as a police officer or as a citizen. So, that's the main part here. That's what I think is him being brought to justice. People say it's not justice, but accountability. I don't know how much it is accountability, because accountability to me means that a person or an institution is standing up and accounting for itself and admitting to its faults. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen that at all with Chauvin, and we haven't seen that with necessarily the Minneapolis Police Department. So I don't see them being accountable in this situation. Chauvin is, like I said, being accounted for in his crimes, and he has been brought to justice. But that's my opinion on that. But Dave, what do you think about this whole situation?
I don't know. Me, justice be standing on that nigga's neck for just long enough until he will, to stop him from being brain dead, and then giving him the sentence. That's what I think justice would be. Because I think
that's sort of first. It's the Old Testament justice sort of there.
Well, I ain't saying kill them. So it's like, if you can stand on somebody's neck for 6 minutes and they live versus 9 minutes, then then just stand on his neck for 6 minutes. Once he stop, check his pulse, make sure he keep breathing. Then after, take your knee off, and then send him away. That's what I think justice is. I think they're worried about that at least happening to him in lockdown, because he gonna be in PC. He gonna be in PC for all times. I mean,
that's why I said he's not gonna be in Gen Pop, so he gonna be separated.
No, I'm like, he'll be fine. Yeah. I mean, he'll be fine. I mean,
that's the last bit of benefit that he gets, from being a police officer, you could say, because if he was a regular dude,
privilege,
he just had to deal, once he gets thrown into the prison system. But I think when you look at this whole situation, is a lot of people still have your level of satisfaction, it varies, and a lot of people are like, it took so much for this to even occur. This single meeting of accountability or justice, or however you want to put it. It really occurred because, like you alluded to, Dave, it took Chauvin took 8-9 minutes to do what he did, in regards as opposed to so many instances with police where they're able to get by because they for some reason have to make a split-second decision, like with the Adam Toledo case here in Chicago, which is when we talk about perfect storms, we got again, it seems like these things just happen in bunches when we have these high profile cases now. We had what happened in Chicago. You have the young man getting killed in the Minneapolis area again, Brooklyn Center. You have the young lady who's just got murdered in Columbus, Ohio yesterday. And it's that's another thing where I think is hurting people's ability to truly celebrate in this moment. But as far as the Toledo case, one thing that really stuck me in the coverage that I seen the coverage here in Chicago was that fool that president of the FOP here. I think you probably know his name.
Catazara.
Yeah. No, that piece of shit, man. He said that the policeman who killed Toledo should be applauded because he only shot him once. he exercised restraint by shooting the boy once because again he was in a split second situation, one that he completely forced himself into, by the way. But he was in a split second situation. And he couldn't completely tell that the boy had dropped the gun. So the fact they only shot him once was, he actually used the word heroic for that. And you juxtapose that to what Chauvin does, which is a complete act of prejudice.
It has to be egregious. It has to be
egregious. Egregious, yeah.
Yeah.
Complete, because he followed through completely within. He had all the time to pull back and go away from what he was doing. And if he had done that at any time, he could have saved George Floyd's life, but he chose not to do that.
Probably would have. He'd have still had his job because as long as he didn't end up brain dead or anything like that, he still had his job.
Yeah,
I mean, he'd had his freedom. I mean, a lot of different things.
Jacob Blake is paralyzed for life, and the guy who shot him still has his job. So that's where the line. That's mainly what we can get from this whole story is that we found the bottom. Like previously, there was no bottom. If you ask black folks, what would be the worst thing that a policeman could do to you, or worst act? There was no bottom because we all know that they could easily kill us, at their discretion. But we finally found a particular type of execution that was just so egregious and so disgusting that it helped take away from the previous line of thought that Americans have in the mainstream, where it's like, we trust the police to execute their work in any way because of the elements of the job is they risk their lives and all this stuff, and they're taking on these criminal elements and everything. More people than ever are seeing through that now. They don't care about that stuff. They recognize how much policemen can abuse their positions in the streets and how they can brutalize and terrorize black people in particular, and their willingness to kill and maim and murder in order to I don't know, get off whatever jollies they have, or to even in some ways execute the execute certain ideals of white supremacy, because we know that, and we know that because there's white supremacists who get into these police these police departments and stuff, and it happens, or people who at least are aligned with their way of thinking. So more people than ever realize that this shit is a scourge upon our nation, and that more of us can be affected by it than there's ever been thought. So there's more of an allegiance now, more of a calling out for reform or abolishment. But people know that there's some type of change. More people than ever know that some type of change has to be enacted, because this stuff cannot happen, whether it's filmed or not. It can't be. We only can get any type of justice or restitution or accountability if it's filmed, apparently. But even if it's not filmed, we have to stop these things from happening. However, they're recounted within our within our society.
Yeah, no, agreed. I agree. I mean, law enforcement, for whatever reason, is behind on a lot of training that teachers have to go through. Um, Conflict management, crisis management,
Hmm.
just basic things. And as a result, I think it allows some people through the cracks that shouldn't be allowed to, be in law enforcement.
Yeah,
Because I mean, it's taking a rubber mallet to trying to take a mallet to something a round hole, putting a square peg in a round hole.
yeah,
And I think and to your point, it just shows the blatant prejudice that unfortunately a lot of police officers have towards black and brown people. But it's always existed. I mean, to your point, things things are not always filmed, and as a result, a lot of things get swept under the rug. They're not filmed, so the burden of proof is always on the person who was essentially assaulted versus the person who did it.
yeah. The states in the state, like often the state or the police or the police officer, they get in the position of ideally where a lot of criminals would like to be, where they get to exploit the fact that the state has to, the burden of proof is on the state.
Yeah.
We have the state prosecuting itself effectively, but they have to prove that these police officers or these police departments are acting with complete bias or complete prejudice against these black and brown people, whoever they kill, and they exploit that because the benefit of the doubt, there's always been this benefit of the doubt that police can't be out here killing people. They don't have it within them to just kill people. They sign up to serve and protect, but for so many, that's not what they're really about.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that officer's probably intention was not, with the Adam Toledo case, his intention probably wasn't to kill him. His Egypt, but at the same time, he, took action he didn't need to, and I think that what is, I guess what is of course what's come out of the news is that Adam Toledo, had some background in street life. But the issue is that even with that being said, is that when you kill someone, you ultimately make them a martyr. It doesn't really matter what they were into, whether he's, and granted, and also combined with his age, makes the crime even more egregious. So
Right.
like there's all these things coming out, that he was involved in gangs, this and that. And the thing is, this is like, well, if you had arrested him, we'd have found all that out. I mean, that would have, that would have, the case wouldn't have had the case wouldn't have reached national news, for sure. And then, but like I said, by effectively killing him, you made him a martyr. It doesn't matter what he did. If he could have just shot somebody, but the minute you shot him, you made him a martyr. And I think that unfortunately the police feel like, well, we know the truth. We have like the background information, but that in itself doesn't make right. I mean, you having the truth or having the background about this kid not being an angel, that doesn't make the action take any better or correct. And you've just made him a martyr, and you've just created a political shitstorm, for lack of a better term, for yourself.
Yeah. And there's so many things that flow out of that that shitstorm, like you say, the money that the city has to spend, and the lawsuits that come and all this stuff.
And And the whole irony of it is that it's just that even when you have when the problems with like police departments in a lot of major metros is the fact of the union. The union pretty much you have a union where everybody's a part of it,
Mhm.
so it makes it really hard to punish the people.
Right.
As a result thereof,
They always had that to fall back on, no matter
yeah,
what. And that's why you know again there's so many injustices that's happened because of that, because they knew in the past that whatever they do, they have that protection of that thin blue line protecting them,
yeah.
and you know,
And I
yeah,
mean, the irony of it is that the way punishment works in the police department is actually inverted. You are held more accountable. The higher up the food chain you go, you're more, you're held higher accountable than the lower part of the food chain because the lower part of the food chain is supported and protected by the union.
mm,
And compared to like where I was at the railroad, it was the higher you up the food chain, the harder it is to get fired. The lower you down the food chain, the easier to get fired. And we had a union there as well.
right,
So yeah, the police department is a little bit backwards in that sense. Whereas like they're police superintendents who got fired over things they had no control over, and we've seen that happen plenty of times.
yeah,
Like I know Phil Klein being one of them. He got fired over some dumb cops fighting in the bar. Um, and, Eddie was a little bit more of a complicated case, but I'm pretty sure there was some. There's been other cases where police superintendents have essentially just got fired for the things that they had no control over. But
sure,
the lower, people down the food chain, patrolmen, sergeants, done some pretty problematic things in the history of the police department, and they are the most shielded.
yeah, yeah,
It's just a really strange hierarchy or priority system, I guess, for lack of a better term.
yeah.
Um,
And it gives little to no regard to the people who they again are supposed to be protecting and serving in the in our
well,
community.
Well, I mean that in itself is a bit of a farce when you have a police department that's comprised of people who most likely, in a lot of cases, don't come from the communities that they serve.
Hmm.
I mean, so yeah, if you don't come from the community you serve, you're going to treat those people like they're the other.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the other, like they're the enemy in so many ways too.
Right.
Like
For,
the guy who shot Toledo was a veteran. He was a guy who, you know, for right and wrong, sort of used practices that he learned in Afghanistan, I believe, or Iraq. I mean, he may have been in either one or the other, but he fought in the Middle East, and I've heard reports about him, you know, taking certain things that he's learned from that experience over to his policing. And there's certain good that came with that, but also you think mentally, I don't, how much are these guys affected by their previous experiences that they may have or that they share, because some of them are, active in the military as well, along with being active policemen. So they may go back and forth. So, when you go into these inner cities, are you looking at black and brown youth as, as citizens, as fully dimensional people, or are you looking at them as, like I say, as the enemy?
Yeah, I mean the real reality of it is that I mean police are paranoid. I mean that's what it comes down to. Whether they serve in Iraq or not, or they serve in the military or not, they're extremely paranoid. I mean they're paranoid because they're in communities that they know in a lot of cases are not connected with, don't have know a whole lot about and interact from I guess from a 6 feet distance. If
Yeah,
from anything, they keep most of the people they interact with 6 feet 6 feet away from them, or unless they're arresting them. So
yeah,
a lot of times they are scared to be in those communities. They are part of those. They operate in those communities because they want the paycheck. They want the pension. but at the
Sure.
same time, they're not there for altruistic reasons. And a lot of times they're scared of the people. I mean that they're there they're the police, and the whole irony of it is that they're the last person in many cases who should be scared. I mean there are exceptions to that rule, but for the most parts they shouldn't be scared of people they're policing. The people they're policing are most of the time scared of them because they
Mm-hmm.
understand that they can be killed with impunity, and that's all that matters. I mean ultimately that's all that matters.
In most cases, they're the only ones bringing a gun into the equation. And
Well, even if they're bringing a gun into the equation, our society hasn't come to the level of lawlessness where we've started killing cops.
yeah,
Just at mass. I mean, that hasn't. Even as the media tried to I guess blow it up. I guess make it a large phenomena even during the late '60s and early '70s with the Black Panthers. I mean, it probably wasn't even that much then. It was actually, but it was more then than it is now. I mean, like cops being killed on line of duty is actually a historic low from the last time I checked, which has probably been the last year. And so it's just like this paranoid of somebody killing you is just realistic. It's just doesn't make any sense. I mean, violent crime levels were going down everywhere. Up
but
until
there's still quite a few politicians and people in the media who, for whatever reason, want to project this issue of law and order, that we still are in this existential fight for our streets, and that there's a criminal element that can take over at any point, and they have to be corralled by law enforcement, by heavily funded law enforcement, and by law enforcement that's militarized. And we don't need all that, man. That's what leads us to so much of our issues today.
Read the shirt.
Yeah.
$1 billion band-aid. I mean, that's all they are. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that police have to all the issues in our society have to be solved by policing.
All the social issues.
All the social issues, the emotional issues that people have. There's a great video. We're gonna bring Dr. Horn in a minute here, but there's a great video by the Amber Ruffin, comedian, and she's great with social issues as well, which a lot of comedians have, sort of have to be nowadays. But she made a video about police and their role in being in collecting debts, and collecting debts, and the role of that police play in how poor people are criminalized in our society. Like, because with Wright, I believe in Minnesota, he was stopped because of a plate sticker, and so many people get stopped. Black people in particular get stopped by police
on dumb shit.
Petty issues, petty financial issues. They have to,
yes.
And we heard a lot of that too in St. Louis, when St. Louis was under the microscope. Like they were getting people for thousands of dollars, for petty stuff in that St. Louis area, because on traffic stops and everything like that. And that's a role that the police play, again, in criminalizing poverty, and it leads to issues where a guy gets stopped for a petty issue. They look into his record. They see him having a bench warrant because he didn't, and actually the bench warrant, because he didn't go to a hearing. The notice for the hearing got sent apparently to the wrong address. So the kid couldn't get he couldn't have got the notice to come to court because it got sent to the wrong address. And because of that, he gets a warrant placed on him. And then the police, when he gets in interaction with the police, it goes down the way it goes down, and he ends up getting shot. So this is the type of foolishness that happens because of pettiness. and because of our willingness again to criminalize the poor and stigmatize and criminalize Black people. So,
Yeah, agreed.
and again going with Floyd, all that starts over a fake $20 bill. Like, what kind of effect does that have on anything? Yeah. And
Yeah.
one more point though before we bring Dr. Horn on. Thanks for waiting, Dr. Horn. I think you're here, but yeah, like we mentioned the whole youth thing and the fact that the kid here in Chicago Toledo has he was probably mixing them with gangs and stuff like that. He was out on the street with a known gang dude, a Latin king, who was out for all accounts was licking off some shots before the police came at them that night. But the margin for error, I said this on Facebook around the time of the shooting. Like, the margin for error for our kids is so slim compared to other races.
Oh yeah.
And when you look at a Kyle Rittenhouse who gets allowed to run with a militia and flash his gun and do all this crap of craziness up in Wisconsin around the time of the Jacob Blake uprising. He got to see home. He didn't get abused. He didn't get shot at. He didn't get thrown on the ground. Nothing happened to him. But Toledo made the mistake of being out too late with a young man who probably shouldn't have been associated with in that time, and he has to die because of that. That's the margin for error, and the difference between what our kids have to face and what's the typical white kid has to face, who can do so much more and not account for what they do.
Yeah, that double standard has existed for a long time, unfortunately. It's just, I think the sad thing about it is that when you hear, every time when you hear something and, you hear the news and it's something, especially when it's coming out of home, you hear Chicago, and you hear that and it's just like, God, it's just, I don't know, it's like death with 1,000 paper cuts. For lack of a better term, it's just really, it's really unfortunate that we can't figure out a way to get better.
Ain't enough alcohol to put on the cuts, man. We gotta stop being cut. That's what it comes down to. And however justice looks to you or to us as a collective. It didn't come with this. It didn't come fully with this, but it's a step forward, and it's something that we have to utilize in our judicial system, and we have to just keep putting pressure on all our local governments, our local police institutions, man, and just, 'cause I think the element of change is there. It's possible. There have been places like Camden, New Jersey. Like I saw a report on changes made at, I believe, in Savannah, Georgia, where the police are making efforts to be more flexible in the way that they handle issues in their communities, and not just throw guns and throw aggressive police, aggressive patrolmen at people all the time. They're doing different things, and we got to look into these other answers and these other ways of doing things, because the way it's going now, we're just continuing to go down a road. I think we're entering a full reckoning of what policing is in this country, and what it means to, we just not gonna have any more of this, from our points of view as Black people, and we just gonna keep fighting it. This fight is not gonna end.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So we gonna switch over to our guest for this week. Hopefully, I said again, we appreciate him waiting, but we had to say what we had to say on that
Yeah,
issue.
now you got me wanting. You got me wanting to talk about it too.
We had you here to talk about other stuff, but we'll be glad to hear your opinion. As a citizen, as a man in this country, I'm sure you have
Unfortunately, I always have opinions, but the first thing I believe is this: it's just an accident of birth what color we are. Okay, you could be Hindu, you could be Indian, you could be African American. So you could be living in anybody's skin. So you shouldn't assume so much differentiation, obviously based on ethnicity. But I saw the movie Detroit. Remember the movie Detroit?
Yeah, I've heard. I've actually haven't seen all of it. I've seen it on TV, but I know of it. Dave, did you see that movie?
No, I didn't see it. I know about
it. You have to
Yeah.
see it. It's based on a true story, the race riots in Detroit in the 60s, and it's scary. And in that depiction, let's face it, we know there's a lot of racism, and we lived through the burnings and the lynchings of the Ku Klux Klan back in the day, and what's the legacy that left? What worries me the most is anybody who wants to live with their racial prejudice and their white supremacy. You could have 9 out of 10 officers. This is a common theme, but 9 out of 10 officers could mean well, okay? But if I was a white supremacist and I wanted to do whatever a white supremacist wants to do, why wouldn't I join the police force?
Yeah.
I mean, why would I go put on my white robes, my white cape, and kind of ID myself in today's world? I could just put on a blue uniform. And that's what worries me the most, honestly. I think that a lot of, the last administration brought a lot of what probably already existed to the surface. I don't think it was created. It was just flushed. It was just flushed out of the toilet. And, it's like, I think that's the scary thing. And I was looking at the statistics. I was actually surprised that there's about 15% Black police officers right now, which is about what the population is. But since most of these issues are happening in a Black community, that's not the right number. There's not enough Black. I think you need to have. I wouldn't be as certain of a racial prejudicial shooting if a like ethnicity was dealing with a like ethnicity. If it's always white cops dealing with Black kids, it's just not good. We can't pretend there's no racial issues in this country, but it's okay for most of the police officers to be white that are in Black communities. It's crazy.
Well, unfortunately, you do have a certain brainwashing that occurs that affects even Black officers, and they you can have officers of the you can't have that of the same race who if they don't shoot kids, they may do other things to abuse and harass kids on a daily basis. But I definitely get what you're saying. Like Dave mentioned it, we don't have officers who come from the communities that they most often patrol, and they don't have any type of interaction with those communities outside of what they do in their uniforms. So it's hard for them. They don't make the effort, and the effort's not made for them to connect with the community. And if you simply know a kid, like if you know an Adam Toledo as something other than this knucklehead that I'm chasing down the alley at 3 a.m, then once you stop him at that gate, you probably don't let off even that one shot. You look at him and say, "Look, that's Adam from the neighborhood. I need to reason with him, and I need to approach him in a way that I would a kid who I care for, instead of somebody who I'm trying to take down."
The older I get, the more something I never paid attention to is true. It's all relationships. Everything about life is relationships. And I mean, when I visited Italy, which doesn't have the racial issues we do, but you go to every corner, while they're well armed and they're scary, you see militia on every corner. And guess what? You can talk to them too. And there was a day, right? There was a day when you had your neighborhood cop. That day, the fact that day is over is a really bad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was ever one thing you could do to make a difference, you'd have to have cops on the street that have to actually be walking around in the community.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, it's almost like cops are the National Guard. You know, they're not really a force within a community, right? They're a Band-Aid. They're a Band-Aid, like a poster child for security and safety. It isn't real.
Dave's hood. Did you see Dave's hood that he has on?
It says $1 billion Band-Aid. It just says $1 billion Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Dave, there we are. We're Bluetooth. That's right.
Right.
But it isn't really that Band-Aid is a failed model. So listen.
You talk about Dr. Hoy, you talk about the days of the neighborhood cop. That's back when Officer O'Malley was walking around with just a nightstick on him. You know, now you got like I say, you got over militarized cops now. They give them hundreds of millions of dollars every year, and you know, to do what? To raid people, to stop.
They can't even grab their gun. No, they can't even grab their stun gun.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you the lady in Minnesota, 26 years on the force, and she makes the mistake, the so-called mistake of pulling her stun gun as pulling her real gun and not a stun gun. Like, come on, man. You know, we gotta get beyond this stuff, man.
There's one other thing I'd like to point out, because this is upsetting to a lot of people of all races for a lot of reasons.
Yeah,
I actually looked up the police officers involved in about 5 or 6 or 7 out of the last videotaped killings that looked really like crimes. And most of those officers had 15 or more incidents. And the one in Minnesota a while back, it might have been 30. But the police boards are not accountable at all. They have, you can't even, you try to look up what the police boards were that reviewed those 15 or 20 or 30 cases against an officer that didn't take any action. The one I'm remembering is this crazy white cop who they look back on his other crimes. I forgot who it was that he shot and killed, but he had actually stopped a white kid. But this tells you about his mindset, who had a Nerf gun, and he shot the Nerf out of his window. It was literally a little foam Nerf bullet. And they pulled him over, this cop who wound up killing a black person. The kid was a teenager. He stuck his gun against the kid's forehead. Just think about that.
Yeah.
And it was adjudicated as nothing. There was adjudicated as not any kind of warning sign. So if you were to look back on most of these incidents and you were to go through all the cases that went before a police board, there is another opportunity. What are the police boards doing?
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's why we need oversight.
I get frustrated too. You know,
yeah, we appreciate you giving your thoughts on that, Dr. Horn, because, you know, I think as citizens, we all have opinions on it. And I think, you know, we don't want to, you know, I don't want to demonize cops, but when they show themselves to do these things, it's like, you know, we're not going to let you be judge, jury, and execution out here on these streets. We're not going to let you cut down youth, and we're not going to let you terrorize adults. Like, you know, you can't do this. We have to find another way to exist. You know, because
one last point, Kyle, I hear you, but one last thing, and now, you know, I can't help myself. I went to school with somebody you've heard of.
Okay.
I can't say he was my best friend, but I got to know him. His name is Merrick Garland.
Oh, wow.
He's the Attorney General. Right?
Yeah.
He is the smartest person.
Should be on the Supreme Court.
He should be, but maybe he's better off as Attorney General. He's investigating the Minneapolis Police Department right now. If there was ever anyone I knew that's smart enough to do something, it's Merrick Garland. He's the Attorney General.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see what happens.
Anyway, Minneapolis definitely needs some reform. We need reform here in Chicago too, man. They've been slacking on that with the consent decree and everything. So, hopefully Merrick will make something happen with Joe and everybody in the administration.
Well, I'm not political enough to have an answer for anything, but it's pretty damn crazy. It's very frustrating.
Like I said, I appreciate you speaking on it, and I appreciate your point of view. But let's talk about what we did bring you on here for, which is Brian is. Am I pronounced it right? Breinfuel.
It's Breinfuel, just spelled differently.
Oh, Breinfuel. Okay, there we go. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
It fuels your brain.
Now, the first question.
Yeah. So,
what I would say, the first question, of course, I think for anybody who looks at this video and looks at you, now on your chest you have LASIK Plus, and I think anybody who looks you up online, like I did, the first thing they see is LASIK Plus with LASIK eye surgery, eye doctor. How did you get involved with something that's called Breinfuel, a drink that as we're going to discuss here is fuel for your brain and everything like that?
So when I was back in the day a physician, and I went into the eye business and I became a LASIK surgeon, it was a labor of love for me. But what happened there was I have a little bit of a passion. I was a biochem major in college, and I have a passion for that. And I started getting involved in ideas for pharmaceutical development. And I wound up tracking on that space. I was a founder of a bunch of startup companies. There's an eye drop called Lumify in the market I invented. So I'm really got a pharmaceutical background. And I started, so basically I'm 68 right now. And my surgery days, when I'm in surgery, they're long days, 11-hour days. I love the days. I love the days. It's sort of like a high to be able to, you make a lot of people happy, God willing. But the truth of the matter is I go home and, I have dinner and I'm like, I'm mush. I'm worthless. My kids they don't want to be around me. My wife we can't do anything social because I'm too tired. And I'm like, okay, I'm a pharmaceutical guy. Coffee doesn't cut it. Drinks don't cut it. Energy drinks don't cut it because caffeine's a stimulant. I know that, right? That's my pharmaceutical thing. Stimulants, even if it's Adderall, even if it was cocaine or amphetamine, which I've never used, but a stimulant needs support. A stimulant is something that hits the accelerator of your brain and body, right? It ramps up the cell to work faster. Everything's ready to get going. Well, what's happening when you take a 0-calorie drink with caffeine in it? Well, you start to launch something good, and then boom, you outstrip its support. It sputters. You get wired. Your brain gets all foggy, or you crash. So I'm like, okay, what would happen if I actually supported caffeine? So I put these metabolic fuels together. I know you can't spike sugar, so I have this special kind of sugar that doesn't spike glucose, and I put in a really good kind of protein and good kind of healthy fat. So I have fuel that lasts a long time. And then I'm like, what's in a coffee bean? Not just caffeine. It has all these other things, antioxidants, because your brain gets hot. The metabolism, the oxidative stress means it overheats. Antioxidants are like the cooler. So I'm like, why don't I put more in? Because that coffee bean plant wasn't assuming how we use caffeine. We'll take a cup of coffee 6 times a day. We'll have as much caffeine as we can handle. So I started putting all these things together, and I stopped crashing. I had no interest in making this product. And then I gave this to some friends of mine, also surgeons, and some of them are pretty famous, and we all had this experience. So we got kind of excited. So basically I realized there's a better way to experience caffeine. And this product has 360 milligrams of caffeine in it because once I supported everything, that's what it took. You don't get the usual side effects unless you've never had caffeine before, maybe. But in most people would take this, they go 10 hours, they go 12 hours. It's like a surge, gradual surge of energy, but your brain is in tune. We've got athletes using it. You know, Phil Hellmuth just had that match with Negreanu, right?
Yeah.
He's a poker player.
Yeah, poker.
He was drinking this. He loves it. He was drinking it before he played. So the thing is, this is something that can do a lot of good, I think, for a lot of people. It's got a lot of healthy stuff in it, and I was excited. I'm excited. We did it. We're doing a cognitive study now on 100 people to see if we can show some data here. And there's so many good antioxidants in here, and I'm such a nut, about. I developed this like it was a drug. It's not a drug. It's got 12 ingredients in it with some weird ratios. But so I'm a big, obviously I'm biased because I developed it, but I wasn't developing this thing to make a fortune. I was developing because it does something I think that's useful. And I do think that whether it's this beverage or something else, Mark, this is just my thought. When somebody puts the right blend of things together, like these things we call antioxidants that we label, vitamin C. Oh, if vitamin C didn't make you live longer, then antioxidants don't work. If somebody puts together the right combination of healthy ingredients, we are going to have better health maintained, get sick less high blood pressure, live longer. So there's so many healthy antioxidants in this thing that when the caffeine's gone, why do a lot of people find 10 hours later their brain still can get tired? There's no caffeine left after 10 hours. It's the antioxidants, I think. So I'm excited to have done this because it's my pharmaceutical passion, and whatever happens, happens. We have a lot of athletes starting to enjoy it too. Spencer Dinwiddie just told us that he's used it for his rehab.
Spencer Dinwiddie.
I don't know what that's going to mean. He told us he's using it for his rehab. I don't know if he wants to represent us or not, but I mean, Ray Costa, a UFC fighter's using it. And so there's sort of we only launched 3 months ago. So there's a lot of interest in the product. If you guys drink caffeine and you tried it, when I'm not on a surgery day, it's just kind of good. Like today, when I have to grind 11 hours, boy, do I notice the difference. And the thing is, how often is your body energized, ready to go? You're alert. Your reflexes are just super sharp, and your brain is right there with you. Usually whatever amps up your body F's up your brain. That's what, to me, is exciting about this. We call it a cerebral beverage for that reason. And it is what it is. I would, love for you guys. I'm not on this show to sell the bottle. I'm on the show because I'm passionate about what this is all about. And I'm passionate about people getting up every day, feeling better. You know what the real test of a product is? How do you feel after you had it? How do you feel later that day? How do you feel the next morning? So that's a story that, everybody has to answer for themselves. But that, to me, is why this is a different kind of thing. Just because, for whatever reason, when you look at the branding that's out there, caffeine, 0-calorie drinks, caffeine, 55 grams carbs, you're starting to see some super coffee stuff and other things. I do think there's a better direction here. And Kyle, Dave, and me, the three of us, whether it's Breinfuel or something else, there are things out there that we can start putting in. They're actually healthy for our bodies and are going to help us feel better and be more effectively active. Because you guys look pretty young to me, but it gets a lot harder every decade.
Yeah,
a lot harder.
We starting to feel how it's getting harder. We're both in our upper 30s now, so we're starting to feel some of the changes. And I think, like Dave, I'll let you speak on. Dave has actually had more experience with the drink than I have at this point. But if you want to speak on that, go ahead, Dave.
Well, yeah, Dr. Horn. So I had the opportunity to try it yesterday, and I just had half a bottle, and it had me up for quite a while. So, I mean, that's a great testament to its potency. What I do like about it compared to a Red Bull, which Kyle and I were discussing prior to you coming on, is that, to your point, there isn't the crash and there isn't the fog that you have with a Red Bull, nor is there nor is there like the hydration that comes with drinking Red Bull, which has a lot of sugar in it. So, yeah.
What did I say, Dr. Horning, and getting you on the show, one of the things that sparked my ideas to get you on the show when I received the email about your product was that, like I said, we have a history, me and Dave, of using beverages like this, and you particularly Red Bull.
Well, yeah.
And Dave in particular has relied on beverages like that in the past. So I wanted to see what his thoughts would be on this type of drink. And I trust him with that definitely more than myself.
And I think it's to Dr. Horn's credit, it's an unfair. You can't really compare it to a Red Bull because unfortunately Red Bull is one of the earliest energy drink products, and that means it's never advanced out of beta phase outside of changing the flavor. I mean, that's really the only thing that's changed with Red Bull. So
and that's sort of like marketing, like what it does with changing flavors and stuff. Like, how much of that is really based in health and really trying to make a product that makes people feel better?
Oh, no. I mean, no, it like I said, it's a quick high. I mean, it's a temporary high. I mean, the only thing from a formula standpoint, I think in 20 years, the only thing is 20 plus years, the only thing that's really changed is the flavor. It hasn't put anything in it. It hasn't changed the ingredients to make it healthier. It's still crap. It's still high in sugar, which causes you gain weight. Dave,
here's some of the challenges. First of all, to give Red Bull its due, look, there's 4 billion, I think, cups of coffee drunk in the planet every day, right? 4 billion cups of coffee. Red Bull took coffee out of the coffee pot, right? You got the caffeine to go. So wherever you want to go, there's the caffeine. They threw a few amino acids in there. It was a pharmaceutical person who did it, by the way, back in the day. So it was a brilliant strategy. But the thing is, the problem for the whole industry is, and it's my problem too, because you could say I'm full of hype. I mean, it's really hard to prove. This is not a drug. I can't do a $3 million FDA trial with this thing. And so what happens is everyone talks about nootropics and alpha brain and all this stuff that's good for your brain. It's not easy to parse out science from stuff that you can sell because you can brand it. You have more chance to brand a product in the CPG space if you come up with the real science. Then what do? If I want to do a real study on this thing, it's probably 7 figures. So to do a real study, a long-term study of any kind. So I think that the challenge is you don't find a lot of pharmaceutical people in the CPG space. And so what is Red Bull supposed to do? There's so much hype out there. People have tried it. I use nootropics as a class. Nootropics are supposed to be ingredients that are good for your brain, but haven't really been vetted yet. And it's an interesting field because maybe something in tomorrow's world that's good for us is going to come from it. In the meantime, a lot of them don't track. And so if you're a Red Bull, you got $1 billion brand, even if you took what's out there in the nootropic space, most of it doesn't really work very well. I mean, most people would have a challenge finding, oh my God, I feel so much different because I took this nootropic. So the universe is always between what exists today that's fighting for every little niche of capitalism, right? And that sells, and what branding works, and what's going to be different tomorrow. So if something's different tomorrow, it's going to take a long time to find out, right? I remember Red Bull and Monster tried to go up against 5 Hour Energy in the C-store. Couldn't do it. Because people already figured out that Red Bull is what it is. And 5 Hour Energy helps you drive better. So, we only have a 5-second soundbite to decide what this is. I have to be willing. The average CPG product needs at least 4 years before people know anything about it.
Well,
but it's an exciting space to
a good way to expedite the process in this space. You know, Gatorade and Powerade have both set the standard in this way. It is getting next to athletes and getting the athletes involved in the marketing and promotion. And you dropped a couple names already. Your contact has told me about your connection with Lissa Mounts of the Chicago Red Stars. So, I think
it's true.
Seems like you guys are trying to get in that sort of space. I'll let you explain it yourself, but like I said, we're smart. We're smart around here. We recognize, we recognize the hustle. We ain't gonna knock it either, but
Kyle,
feel free to explain it.
Look, people.
Could this be another Gatorade or Powerade, essentially?
Look, Gatorade or Powerade were a nothing, and Gatorade went to Florida. They had a great hydration product, and they got athletes to try it. None of which were famous.
Yeah, they started with the University of Florida. Yeah.
If I was a famous athlete, why would I want to work with Breinfuel? I could get 7-figure contract. We have a guy who was a mountain biker with Red Bull. I can't tell my story now. I didn't mean to say where he's from. So we've had people who had great things happen on this product, but they're represented by other brands. We're not going to be able to compete with that. So we just got lucky. College kids love this. They don't want to take the drugs they take to study. They don't like it. Today's college kids are smart. They're looking at ingredients. So some of them like to study with this. And so we have this kind of great fun with college kids. And
it's hard. You don't want to get addicted to, it's not as cute to be addicted to pills anymore as it once was, like 10 years.
Or Adderall.
Adderall. It's not as cute to be addicted to Adderall now.
It helps you study, but people have a lot of side effects. So the bottom line is, we're never going to get near UFC targets. Look it's all branded and owned. You can't even represent a product like ours on a UFC ring or arena.
But if you get Dana White's hands, maybe. And you might have to change some of that rhetoric about anti-cop stuff with Dana White as well. He's not much of a liberal.
Yeah, I think we're going to be a little player that's going to grow organically with.
We wish you the best with that. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I hope that one part of your business strategy is partnering with national chain gyms, especially as they're opening up. I mean, the 24-hour fitnesses, the Equinoxes. That's where I would be. I mean, one of the geniuses of kind of the energy, other energy drinks, especially Monster, is that their street promotion, marketing strategy were pretty, aggressive. And I think maybe that could be a good end is, hitting the gyms as they open up and making sure you get, shared in them, get space in them.
First of all, it's a great suggestion, Dave. Great. The second thing is, I want to be clear. Nobody respects Monster Red Bull more than I do, because those companies are successful for a reason.
Yeah, they also have a lot of, as somebody who's had a copious amount of them in the past 15 years. They also have a lot of downsides, or side effects.
Yeah, I think there's room in there, man. If you have something with Breinfuel where it is healthier and it, like I say, it has less of those side effects to it, that could be very meaningful in entering this space.
I'm not going to lie to you. We're kind of hot right now. We're getting a lot of traction. A lot of people approaching us. A lot of people want to do deals with us. We're just trying to be smart about it. I think I got some great advice from the guys that did RX Bar, who are in Chicago too.
Yeah.
And they said, don't try to get big right away. Figure out who loves your product. Figure out how good it really is first. You can't just jump all over and compete with CPG space. It takes time even distributors are relationships. Retailers are relationships. You guys are relationships. It has to have it. you have to have a chance to find out it's real. To me, it's like everything has to go viral. Dave has to like it, and he talks to somebody. This stuff's okay, and that takes time.
Yeah.
So the real athlete, they are looking for endorsements. That's how they make their living. They can't just go for the one that seems a little better. I mean, they got kids. They got their entire legacy, and they can get 7 figures by taking another product. We can't do that. So it takes a long time to scale up. It's okay.
Wait, you
I have my
mentioned
son working with us. My son is 21, so this is going to be for him more than for me.
and that's what I wanted to go into, because that was part of what I learned about you guys off top. Your son Colton apparently has been involved in the product as well. That that's who I'm assuming you're referring to, right? He's a student right now at Northwestern, right?
Yeah. He's graduating.
What role has he played in? Has he just been helping getting the word out to people, or at Northwestern or other universities? Or?
I'm being honest with you. By the way, I have to go soon. I was supposed to be in a meeting, and I love talking to you guys. I love it. I'd love to do it
again.
We'll
be glad to bring you back on.
I would love it. Colton is, look, I am a creative person. I'm not going to lie. I mean, that's why I do this pharmaceutical stuff. I'm not Colton. I don't have an organizational bone in my body like he does. Without him, I couldn't even do this. He functions like the CEO and the CRO. And he's a pit bull. He doesn't sleep. And he just is an incredibly committed, and he's just a great kid, and it's great as a father-son thing to be able to do this with him is just spectacular for me. It's really special. Plus, he's a lot smarter than me. I might be smarter, nerdier about the ingredients, okay? But as far as everything else goes, I mean, I don't have the bandwidth. I don't even have the time. He is just crazy good. I'm telling you.
Maybe next time we can have both you guys on.
And anything I've ever learned about music and about rap and all kinds of stuff, it all comes from him. So he takes us in directions I wouldn't even.
Rappers would be a good way to go too, as far as endorsements.
Colton got us. Wait, let me just say, Colton got us involved with some group. It's going to be available in April or May or June. A bunch of rap stars, I have their names in here somewhere, did a celebrity chess tournament with grandmasters.
Oh.
A bunch of rappers you've heard of. Celebrity tournament with some grandmasters. And this whole thing was just filmed. It was just filmed. We had playlists. If you were to take our QR code and scan it, we had playlists of all these rap stars so you could play their music while they're doing this. And a lot of them loved our product. See, we think chess and poker are good places for us to go. But I don't know what's going to come of that. We had a bunch of really well-known rappers that liked our product, that loved chess, which we're trying to get into because it's a cerebral thing. And that's through Colton.
That's very interesting. That's not an obvious strategy that I would think. If you
wanted to know, Colton could be one person in the whole world, he'd probably pick Chance.
Chance the Rapper, okay.
Rapper.
Yeah, a lot of people follow Chance. A lot of people definitely pay attention to what he does. So that, we'll see. We'll see about that. I'll definitely wish you guys the best.
Thank you. I've loved talking to you guys. It was hard for me to want to talk about Breinfuel because you're talking about stuff way more important than Breinfuel when I got on this thing. So I really wish you guys are able to get Merrick Garland on this show. He's from Chicago.
With that, yeah. If we become a big enough show to get Merrick Garland on, that'll be a blessing. Yeah.
Yeah. In the meantime, I do have to run, but I want to thank you guys for the opportunity and the important work you're doing. I learned a lot just listening to you guys because you're living it. And I would be more than privileged to visit you guys again.
Yeah, well, keep us up with what's going on with Breinfuel. Like I said, we'd be glad to have you and Colton on, and anyone else who is associated with the product.
And I have a friend named Lauren Taylor. I want to give a shout out. You look him up on LinkedIn, LORNTAYLOR.
Okay.
Lauren, he's really smart. His heart's in the right place. He happens to be African American, and he wants to do a lot of good for this world. And he needs a break. I mean, if you saw what he's doing and the community programming he's developing, the outreach he's trying to create,
sure.
Give him a LinkedIn look up. He'd probably be great on your show.
Yeah, Dave is pretty good on LinkedIn, so I'm sure he'll find. I'm sure he's probably looking him up right now.
LORENTAYLOR. I got to run, guys, but I want to thank you.
Thanks for making time for us, Dr. Horn. We really enjoyed talking to you, and like I said, good luck with everything related to Breinfuel, and good luck with your practice and everything. Keep making people. I may have to come through on you sometime, man, because I'm getting a little sick of these glasses myself, man. I might need to get.
If you ever do, you got to call me first.
Okay, I never just drop by, man. I definitely let you know when I'm coming through.
You guys are a good team, pal. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey,
Take care.
You too.
Bye. All right, we remove him.
Yeah.
He's a good guy there.
Yeah. Definitely is.
So, Breinfuel. I'll check it out. By the time we come back off our little hiatus, I'll definitely try it out Breinfuel as well. So, but Dave, like I say, Dave is giving his talk about it. Like I say, it's a little not. You got to try. How much more of the Breinfuel do you have left?
They gave me two. They gave me a box of the red and a box of the grape.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I guess I got.
Thank you. Yeah, so. Thanks to is it Katie? What's her name?
I contact Katrina. Thanks,
Katrina. Thank you
to her for helping.
Thank you.
Helping organize everything, and like I said, we definitely enjoyed having the doctor on, and like I said, we'll see about keeping in contact and talking to him again about the product. Like I said, you never know how something like this will develop. So, hopefully, like I say, Breinfuel as a product, if it's doing good for folks, keeping them more aware, keeping their brains, sharp, and if they're doing cool things on the marketing side, like I say that the chess hip hop thing is, that seems very interesting. I said I don't think he caught it, but I said that's something that Jizza would probably be interested in because he's definitely into that grandmaster, chess stuff. So I don't know. Maybe that's maybe he was involved with it. We'll see. But I definitely want to keep up with that. But yeah, well, we got a little time left here. I know we want to get you out because you're gonna break fast pretty soon, right?
Yeah. I think I got about 10 minutes. But yeah.
Okay, but definitely appreciate you coming back on, man. I want to shout out. I want to shout you out right quick and shout out Demons for holding down the show a couple weeks ago.
Despite Steve Harvey moment.
Now you guys are good though. You guys are good. Especially at a time when it wound up being a DMX tribute show, which is available. If you missed it, you could catch it here on YouTube, but also on our podcast platform on Anchor. But you gotta jump the gun a little bit with the announcement the past
couple hours.
Yeah, but it wasn't too. It wasn't too. Yeah, it was in the hours range because he did pass away that morning following. But definitely, I want to shout out. I didn't get to speak my piece on X right quick. I made a playlist on him. If you look my name up, you can Kyle Means. You can follow my playlist on YouTube and stuff. YouTube Music. So I made a big playlist with X. Like he was just. Like I could echo everything that y'all said as far as anybody who came of age with hip hop in the mid to late 90s definitely was affected by his work, and he was just one of the biggest. He was a big star, man. He a big star as a rapper, became a action star. Like there's been people who talk about his. I passed the link to you in our text
that article
about exit wounds. Yeah, there's a good article on Up Rocks about exit wounds and like. But I watched it the other day too on Bounce. Like it's just this is something too that when we come back in a couple weeks, I want to talk about. Like the way that I enjoy bad movies is sort of changed. Like in COVID times, like you want to be like have good taste and stuff, and I know I have good taste with movies. I can appreciate a good movie and identify what's good about it. But sometimes it's cool to just sit and watch a bad movie and just take it in.
Oh yeah,
and Exit Wounds is one of those movies. Like is a lot of it don't make sense. But
the synopsis on Up Rocks was really good. So if you didn't even watch the movie, you knew how ridiculous it was from just the way it was summarized. So
right, yeah. So it's just. Some bad movies are just fun like that. So, and that was
anything with Steven Seagal.
Yeah, Steven Seagal is a good sign that it's going to be a bad but fun movie. And X made a couple of those, Cradle to the Grave, Romeo Must Die was maybe probably of those three sort of movies in that realm was probably the best of the three. And he had the Aaliyah track with he did with her and everything, but X had a couple of decent movies. I think the one he made with Ernest Dickerson off the that was the Donald Goines adaptation was probably his best starring role. But he was just a great talent who had a lot. He made an impact, especially in that period that. Like 98 to 03 period, and that's why we
5 years. Yeah, five years of just hits back to back to back to back to back.
Right, because he was really prolific.
Movies.
He was really prolific.
Not just, just the albums, the Rough Rider albums, his own albums, his co-star. Yeah. Like everybody's album he got on, he just outshined him. Mm-hmm. I think you mentioned like the black when you posted like the Black Thought post about like why Questlove asked Jay why he didn't put him on, and I just had to think about it. Jay probably learned from having DMX on his shit. Like anytime I have somebody, I know when I'm gonna have somebody when I rap with somebody who's gonna outshine me, it ain't gonna look good for me. So I'm not gonna have that person on.
The crazy thing about X was that people knew that he was gonna eat them up on tracks, but like from like 97 to 2000, you just had to put them on. You couldn't because you knew that you was gonna sell records if you put them on your track. Especially if you was from New York.
Yeah, like that first, like that Mace, that Harlem World album. It like I definitely don't care for Mace, but 24 hours to live. Yeah. Jay-Z, The Hard Knock Life. That album wasn't my favorite Jay-Z album. But Money Cash Shows. Excuse me. But yeah.
What's up with your thing?
I'm using my phone today but every album that he was on, the Rough Riders album, everything that he was on outside of his own stuff, in addition to his own stuff, was just great. His energy. I don't even know if there's a comparison. The person who probably compared from energy to me died last week, and it's probably like a Black Rob, and it was just like, damn, Black Rob.
Yeah, shout out to Black Rob.
Yeah, he doesn't have the legacy, he doesn't have the skill of a DMX, but he had the energy. He had some great energy too, and
and a great voice too. Like that's another thing that unique voices in hip hop, voices that are guttural and aggressive and not, sick. This will be edited for Anchor. Definitely, this will be edited for the podcast. But My freaking Wi-Fi just completely dropped there for a few couple minutes, so that messed up the DMX conversation there. But yeah, but definitely shout out to DMX, rest in peace, and Black Rob as well. All those who we've lost throughout the years, who made hip hop what it is. We definitely appreciate y'all, and wish y'all was still here. But Dave gotta go, man. He's got to break fast. And you got to do that. Ramadan, definitely spread love to everybody who celebrated Ramadan, and hopefully he can jump back on here for a second to sign off. But but basically, like I said, if you could see in the rundown, we just got a couple show announcements here to end the show. Dave, we're back up. Let's see.
Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for coming back on right quick. But yeah, we just signing off. Like I said, a couple of show announcements. Like I said, we will be back on in May. It'll be like a month. Like I said, about May 19th, I believe, will be the day we'll come back on. We have a pretty cool guest for that show as well. I'll release more on that when we get closer to the day. But I actually booked the guest like towards the beginning of the year. So we've been waiting on this guest for a while, but like I said, we'll release that. But because of that early booking, it sort of made me set up this whole thing where we get to I wanted to do this for a while, just do a little hiatus, and I think it's a good time because Dave and Noura's about to welcome their new child, so he's gonna want to have some time for that and to help out with all that. And I've been sort of going through some stuff myself, not nothing big, but just thinking about. Okay. As far as the show goes, like I said, we'll be back soon, and we're not going anywhere for the time being. We've done 30 shows, which is, I'm definitely proud of. Dave, I'm just want to thank you for, helping out and playing your role in that, man. This show, it would not be what it is without you, man. So, thank you for riding with me. And thanks to everybody who's played a role in developing the show and getting it off the ground, who's helped out our man Rook out in Vegas, and all our guests, people who have stopped by, left comments or whatever, shared our links. Dedrian, shout out to him. Just like I said, we ain't going nowhere. We just gonna chill for, like I said, a few weeks, restructure some things, rejuvenate. And when, like I said, we'll be back, I believe, on May 19th with some new shows. And we got a lot more people we want to speak to, a lot more people we want to build with, and we got a lot more opinions. Definitely stuff is going to be happening out there in the world that we're going to want to talk about. So, like I said, we ain't going nowhere, and just keep riding with us. If you've missed any of our shows in the past, they're all available on YouTube. Our playlist in the building. For 2021, we got our playlist, and we got our regular playlist going back to 2020 with the first shows that we did. So check them out, and the same as ever, man. If you like what we do, share, and pass it along to those who you like, if you like what we're talking about, and so keep supporting everything else we do with War Media, all the other shows that we put out, Running with War, Second City Sports, In the Scope with Josh Hicks, and all our specials or whatever else, one-offs, everything we do. I'm gonna do a few things in the interim, I guess, with some one-offs, stuff, exclusive stuff. I'm gonna try to get a couple things going, but like I say, in the meantime, wish Dave the best with the new kid, and definitely wish you the best with the family, and Yeah, man. Anything else you want to say before we ride?
No, I mean it's been a blast. See you in well, I guess we'll be back on in a couple weeks. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's it for now, y'all. And take care of yourselves, man. Protect your peace. Protect don't let anybody in these internet streets or these real streets, get under your skin. And keep protecting yourself, man. I'm getting my first COVID shot Friday. So I'm gonna be among the vaccinated pretty soon. So I'm taking care of myself. So I y'all do the same if you haven't already. And yeah, that's it though for now, man. We in the building, and we out for now though. We'll talk to y'all pretty soon. All right.
All right. Talk to you later.